Hey there, this is Mick Gillette from the Tower of Power, and this is the Break It Down Show. You're not going to believe your ears.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John and Pete.
If you don't borrow something from Sly, you ain't doing it right. It's just that simple. It really is.
You know what? I want to say this. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Pete, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Man, congratulations to you, too.
100 shows.
That's no shit. That's real deal.
Fucking A.
Well over 100 hours of programming.
Well over.
Yeah.
And we have saved a doozy for you guys.
Yeah.
Our guest for our 100th episode is Sly Stone. And he influenced so many of the people that we've had on our show that we had to get them to talk about it. And we have guests lined up that we're going to do in the next couple of weeks who were all influenced as well.
Right.
We just couldn't squeeze them in before 100. So
yeah, we have a lot of great shows coming up. We had the fortune of knowing that we were going to have Sly Stone saved for this. And so literally along the way, as we talk to people, we would grab little nuggets from him. So you'll hear them come up and them each talk about what Sly means to them, what the influence was, what he did.
Pete and I are going to narrate, kind of.
Yeah.
We are off the cuff, though.
Can I be the balladeer?
So, yes. You be the balladeer. I'm not sure how recently Sly has been interviewed by anybody else, but the most recent thing I could find was from 2009.
Yeah.
And it wasn't much.
No.
So we're very lucky to have what we have. We're not going to sugarcoat everything.
No, you can't.
Sly's had an amazing life that's difficult for a lot of us to grasp, especially in the most recent parts of it. But
yeah. And our guests say it well. They talk about the influence, and that really is the legacy of Sly. You know, when he's gone one day, it's not going to be the misdeeds and the bad decisions. It's going to be the music that's left behind.
That's right.
And the standard that he set. There is no standard higher in the Bay Area for music.
That's true. He really went for it. Now, he didn't achieve everything. They didn't achieve everything they started out with. But it's a lot like a microcosm of the 60s in general, because the 60s had a lot of ideals that that it strived for, but didn't hit them all.
Didn't hit them all.
You know, and then it had to endure the 70s.
Yeah.
And so did Sly. And the 80s and the 90s, and here we are now.
Yeah.
But it started off with some amazing principles that he established for the Bay Area, for, like you said, the standard of musicianship, the way you carry yourself as a celebrity, the way you answer the call as an artist. And he did it in a very concentrated period of time.
We're talking about an artist that took it upon himself to break ground in diversity, in social movement. I mean, when we talked to him, I don't think we captured this directly in the interview, but he talked about purposely choosing hippies. I want to bring these people in because of what they're talking about.
Yeah.
There were no women in bands, in soul bands before him.
Right.
This didn't exist.
Yeah.
A woman playing an instrument live on stage, not with other women. You know, he is the trailblazer for that.
Now everybody's going to correct us, and they're going to go, "Oh no, what about?" Please, we welcome that.
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah, that's fine.
Please, but I can't think of really much. I mean, you brought up the Supremes,
Yeah.
Martha and the Vandellas.
Sure.
Those were singing groups.
Yeah, yeah.
Of women.
Of women. All women.
Right.
This is a ensemble group playing instruments at the highest level.
I mean, they had in Cynthia Robinson, may she rest in peace, female trumpet player.
Right.
Go ahead.
Name 'em.
Name a band
Name them.
that had a chick playing trumpet.
Yeah.
You know, and
Any horn.
they were an amazing, and he didn't just choose them because, well, let's get a chick who plays trumpet. Let's get the baddest person at playing these parts the way we want to express them. And it was Cynthia. And that stood for the whole band. He chose the band primarily because of their musical contribution, their interpretation. But he also wanted to express diversity. I mean, the thing about Sly was he was born in Denton, Texas, just to give a little bio. Right. But the reason he's important to us was because as a small child, his family moved to Vallejo, California. And he influenced the music of the Bay Area first before he influenced the music of the world. But he influenced it from Vallejo, which meant that for those listeners who are not familiar with Vallejo, the thing that you'll find about Vallejo is that there is no majority here.
Right.
White, black, or otherwise. Anytime that you pull out a group of individuals who contribute to anything from Vallejo, you're going to have a little bit of everybody in there.
Yeah.
Because that's just how it is. And that's what he brought to the world, was an expression that came from the fact that the first band that he was in he was hired by a Filipino guy, I think.
Yeah,
in
right.
A band
exactly.
called I remember the name of that band. I'll challenge our listeners to look it up. It's on his Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
So you guys can go look at the Wikipedia page and find all the relevant bio stuff and the details. And by all means, if anybody out there has details to contribute, throw them in the comments, because I don't profess to know everything about Sly.
And you can't capture all of what Sly is.
No.
One of the things that is important to note about the show is we got Sly right in the middle of his legal battle. And that's important to say, because anybody who fights for their legal right as long and as hard with as many twists and turns. Years. He's sick of his own lawyers when the night we talked to him.
Yeah, that was the thing. The night that we talked to him, he had been meeting with his lawyers, and he can't stand the lawyers on the other side, but he's already sick of his own lawyers, because whatever settlement he ends up getting, which, the court started out at $5 million.
Right.
But, that's getting appealed, and everybody's dragging their feet.
Sure.
And his lawyers are coming in, and
He's won every decision since this interview happened,
that's right.
but he hasn't been paid. the
And
money.
hasn't made a
Right.
cent.
Yeah.
And then once there is actually money changing hands, the lawyers get to skim off the top, probably 40% of it.
Yeah, they'll get a lot of it.
So we just hope that he lives long enough to actually see some money. But the thing that we learned about Sly was he really doesn't give a shit
No, he wants to
about
make
the
music.
money. He just wants to make music. And if there's anything about that money, is that it will just allow him the freedom to not worry about the day-to-day stuff while he can just make music.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Should we set sail?
Yeah, we should set sail.
Okay.
And I do want to say this one thing. I heard a great idea from all the people that we talked to. Preston Glass said, I want to see the Roots and Sly get together and do something.
Yeah.
So I'll second that.
That would be cool. That would be cool. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, our 100th episode. Thank you for listening. Thanks for supporting us, everybody. We can't say enough how much we appreciate you being listeners of the show and really supporting us and getting us to 100 shows. It's been amazing. And it really happened in the snap of a finger.
My life is enriched for this show, from what you've contributed, from what we've gotten from all the different guests and everything. This is a life-changing show, and to have 100 episodes is something that I'm very proud of.
Yep. So thanks, everybody. Here we go. Sly Stone. We have with us on the Break It Down show today, man,
Get out.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
We have talked to some very, very influential and wonderful people, great artists who we value. But we have on the mic today a true legend and somebody whose influence on my musical taste throughout my entire life has been just profound. Pete put it better than I could have, but I'm going to plagiarize this. We listen to great artists who stole from people, who stole from people, who stole from people, who stole from the great Sly Stone.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's good. That's a good feeling.
I mean, the Beastie Boys came, I just heard a song on the way in here, and your hooks are in those songs.
Everything.
Yeah, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
Arrested Development. They had a whole career based on an album that had probably 12 different samples of you on it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
I don't know how much you keep track of social media, but once we had it confirmed we were going to interview you, we put it up on our Facebook page. Well, 15,000 people, and possibly 16 by the time I'm saying this, have looked at that, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them have said, right on. We
like
want to
it.
hear it.
Yeah.
And they love you still to this
That's
day.
good, man.
People have gone crazy, man.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They love you. So, Sly, I've watched a lot of video prepping up to be ready to talk to you. And I got to say, man, you had some style, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, you're right.
That is a true statement.
Yeah. So we've talked to a lot of people about your influence on them. You know, have you heard of the group Tony?
Raphael Sadiq, Dwayne Wiggins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know those names.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, Dwayne said, when we started Tony, what we wanted to be was Sly and the Family Stone.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You're right.
And this is Tara, Kemp, and Dwayne Wiggins.
When Tony came out, it was like seeing the Family Stone once again.
Studied the Family Stone. I have a big family, so music was in our house all the time. But have fun in the summertime. Yes. Hey, that makes me think of some times in my house, in our house, and all the family together. We didn't have money or nothing, but we were rich in terms of living.
Yep.
When I hear that song and I think of him, that's what I feel inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the type of stuff he makes people feel. But not only that, he was a part of a movement. It's like, this hip-hop thing, rap stuff, when it came out and stuff, he is a serious part of the foundation of funk, soul, being so innovative in style and everything else. And you're right.
And also, that message of be yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for letting me be myself. I mean, it's like the national anthem of musicians in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You've got to be authentically who you are.
Yeah.
Or don't even try and do this, especially today.
If we can rewind a little bit, the chronology of Sly and the Family Stone, I have to ask because I'm from Vallejo.
Mm-hmm.
What took you out of Vallejo? How'd you leave Vallejo?
I had to go to a gig,
Yeah.
Frisco,
Uh-huh.
and so I get out of there.
You had to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So was that when you started DJing for KSOL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, not. I played at the Condor in North Beach.
Okay.
And that was before the radio.
And then when you got the radio gig, that was 1960.
I forget. I don't remember.
Yeah. It's probably around 61, 62.
Yeah.
And then, you were shaping music in the Bay Area.
I was busy with music all my life.
Man, no kidding. Yeah, you had mastered several instruments by the time you finished high school. In high school, I was just trying to get laid,
That's cool.
Yeah, man. You were. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but Bootsy Collins says you were the greatest musician he's ever run across.
Hey, Bootsy, huh?
Yeah, man. That's a huge compliment. I mean, that guy's played with James Brown and Jimi Hendrix. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he did.
And he puts you at the top. Damn.
I saw Bootsy lately, yeah. He's cool.
Tell us.
Ask me anything.
Tell us some stories from, musically, when you were coming out of the Bay Area, our hometown, Vallejo, and you become famous. What happens? Where do you go? What do you do? What happens when the world opens up?
You start reaching out.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're going, but you don't know how far. It's a far because enough planes and cars to get there. Woo, and they know you. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. When you have the world at your fingertips, when you guys broke Woodstock, you play Woodstock, you play like 4 a.m. What was that like?
Getting off, I never saw that many people about music in the audience and whatever. And getting off a helicopter, like an army helicopter, or after a car, then a helicopter, and then dropping with all those people.
Yeah.
I was like, we better do the best we can.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
It's 4 a.m, and there's still an ocean of people, more people than you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So you guys had already broken. You were already world famous.
Not as good as Woodstock did.
Woodstock broke you open.
Yeah.
James Earley.
It's because of people like him that I knew that it was possible for me, and that helped to drive me and motivate me to do it. Not think about doing it, but actually do it.
Thomas McElroy.
Sly Stone gave us hope, and a person that was from our community that had done something really great and was being applauded for it. So it's like, we got this rich tradition here that we got to hold up, or we can be a part of. Sly kind of paved the way, along with a whole bunch of other people, for people like Denny and I, and Frankie Beverly and Mays even, and the Tonys, and hip-hop that was born here, Hammer, everybody else, Too Short. He kind of opened that up. We all learn from each other. and I listened to all the music, and I remember putting the needle back on the drum break on that one song, that Digital Underground. I remember like putting the needle back, and I was like, that's cool. And then I would listen to that, but I would come back to that drum break. That was like kind of a defining moment for me. I remember in my life where I was listening for something specific. Why am I coming back to this part? Why am I doing this? Sly Stone, I love this song. He's got all kind of people in the group. He looks different. He's not really R&B. He's not really rock. He's something different. He's kind of like Miles Davis. He's kind of like some of these other guys that I'm looking at. He's such a strong character. And it really influenced me in a way that made me listen to popular music differently. Even though at that point I didn't understand. And later on I got into jazz. I came back to Sly later and listened to him and understood what he was doing at that time. And then started listening to Larry Graham and some of the other people. And that had a huge influence on the whole Bay Area. I remember when I was a kid watching Sly Stone on TV. I saw him and the band, and I noticed right away he had a white dude, a woman, and just different colors of people in his band before I noticed anything else. And I had never seen that before. I was like, who is that? And then I remember looking at an album cover sometime later in my house as a kid. I said, oh, that's the dude. This is Sly Stone.
Growing up in Vallejo, you couldn't escape racial integration.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was there.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like having a racially integrated band back then?
It was planned.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It was a conscious thought for you to bring that to the world.
Yeah, we thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, another thing, I mean, and we took this into our fold too, those groups are always into the community. They gave back. I mean, it's like the community gave back to them too. It was me growing up in West Oakland. I lived across the street from the Infirmary Park. The Black Panthers used to do a lot of rallies across it, so he was pretty much one of the, you can call him damn near the house band for when they would do those rallies and stuff. So he was always a part of the community. I guess that's a little why I do the things I do, because that's what I seen.
Civil rights movement comes along, and you get to say, well, we've already been doing it.
Yeah, we did. I remember I was going to march, and I got in front of the line, and I realized that I had a .32 caliber. I forgot about Martin Luther King, everything.
Right, because you were going to march.
Yeah, but I got scared.
Yeah, 32 automatic on my person. So, wow. And I guess that's probably one of the reasons why you didn't have a much more visible presence in the civil rights movement.
Yeah, because I went in my mind, that's how they were going to hurt us. In my mind was, I better get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
So that's why.
What civil rights movement was trying to accomplish, they could just look at your band and see it in action and see that it was beautiful and that everybody was better for it. And then you were going to march, and you had a...
Yeah, I myself was going to get with everybody. I was going to get in the front. And I looked at those people, and some of them had weapons, and I realized that I had my .32.
Yeah.
That was just subconscious to have it.
Right. Because that's what it was about back then.
Yeah.
I mean, you still did grow up in Vallejo. And Vallejo has always been what it is.
Yeah, Vallejo's pretty harsh.
You had to survive it.
Yeah.
You were on every show that someone who had a career in music could be on. You know, you guys were on American Bandstand, Soul Train, all that. You took over the Mike Douglas show.
Yeah.
We were watching the Mike Douglas show. We saw clips from the Mike Douglas show. Who was that was on there?
On the Mike Douglas show?
Yeah, with you.
I had Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor,
yeah. That's
right. He made him play drums.
Yeah, I had Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, that's right. It's a good thing you didn't make him play drums.
You know, you and Muhammad came at the social movement from a different angle. You seem to be much more inclusive in trying to say, hey, we got to work together. And Muhammad came at another viable way of saying, we got to get our equal part, you know. People look to you guys for answers. How do you guys reckon that between each other?
Muhammad Ali, he liked to rhyme, but not with any substance, as far as I could see.
Okay.
And he started to rhyme, and he started talking about, about black people, white people, and he told me that I should, I forgot what he was saying, but I didn't like it. So I had to ask him to be quiet. And then he got mad.
I remember that. Yeah, that's on the show.
Yeah.
But I encouraged him
Yeah.
to be cool.
You encouraged him to be cool.
Yeah.
Hey, everything is so good. He makes a little money. I make a little money. But his brothers and uncles of mine are catching hell and hungry. And we on TV.
Yeah.
Like everything is so rosy. And I can't go off feeling guilty. There's too many wise people.
Muhammad. I'm talking now, man. Look here. The only thing we can do for brothers is to do what we're doing. Be examples and to be happy and to be intelligent like you are and like you always say.
Thank you. In the I'm too intelligent to debate with the brother on television, or even clown with him on television. But behind the doors, we can have a good time, but not with all the people watching.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can.
Wait a minute. Now, wait.
If we didn't, we'd be phony.
Now, wait a minute. That's not being honest, what you just said.
That's what I'm saying. We'd
Clown
be phony.
behind doors.
We'd be phony if we didn't do the same
if I had
thing
any clown-
out here with
No. You just said clown
I said if I
behind
had any
doors.
clown-
around here.
Don't you agree with me?
Yeah, we're going to clown around. If you don't like it, I'm going to whoop you.
That says it all right there. You encouraged Muhammad Ali to be cool. It took some guts to do that because if
You have to do that when he just carried Ali.
sure,
You have to wake up.
I guess so, because there he is. He's a big presence. He'll mow right over everybody in the room and really just kind of take over all the energy if you don't stand up for yourself.
What's your greatest high? What's your highest moment that just sticks out in your mind?
Have the group rehearsing, probably.
Your highest highs happen during rehearsal.
Yeah.
So when it
Corey's like, what?
when
I
it's
know, I say it all the time.
Grab a mic, man. Grab a mic.
No. There's some cornbread over here. I've always said, and I tell people that rehearsals are better than shows because you get that first high, that first time you run down the whole song and it sounds great.
Yeah.
It's not like that at a show. So
Corey, your episode of our podcast was last week.
yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Why do you want to bring up old shit?
But I've always said that.
Yes, you have always said that. So how about this? I'll ask you this, Sly, because we're in Corey's presence, and Corey's played with you. And one of the things that he mentioned was that during rehearsal is when you really get to flex and you really get to try things and you get to, because when you're out in this, you have an obligation to your audience, right? So you have to pull it back just a little bit, make sure you're playing safe. You're not going to reach for the most acrobatic thing to do musically. You're going to just take it back just a little bit to make sure that you don't mess up in front of your audience. Is that why you find rehearsal to be more stimulating than anything else?
Well, yeah, but the guys, my band was the major high. Not just playing with people.
Yeah.
The band, to have the band.
Yeah.
Because they were every day.
Yeah.
Until it was till you can't even make a mistake.
Yeah. Well, you guys were always known for your incredible work ethic and just how tight the band always was and just how together your show always was. With that caliber of performance and delivering it night after night after night for so long, what happened with the band? I mean, I know these are things that happen to all bands, but how did it happen to Sly and the Family Stone? When
we started going off?
Yeah.
I got a rumor passed to me that I was going to kill Larry.
Wow.
The bass player.
Yeah.
And what I did all the time was protect everybody in the band.
Sure.
I mean, every time, a lot of fights. Every fight.
It was Sly and the Family Stone. You were the paternal figure of the band.
Yeah.
You were the leader.
Yeah.
So that's how it started, the unraveling of the band?
It's right in my head.
Yeah.
I want to try to go get him. What the fuck were you talking about?
Yeah. So this was a rumor that was passed to you and one that probably altered everybody's behavior before you heard about it.
Well, everybody else in the band, they treated it like Nah, he was sad, man. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. But how did Larry take it?
He gone. Couldn't find him.
And that was the, wow.
I guess he's still saying it.
From Huey Lewis in the News, Johnny Colla.
I actually had the honor to introduce Sly to Huey. My God, it was probably the late 80s. Sly still had that gleam in his eye. That might be the last time I saw Sly. We were at the post-Grammys event. So that's the last time we saw each other. I had a fledgling band in Marin County. It turns out they wanted to be a rock band, and we were a little too funky for them. Larry and I got unceremoniously released from our band, Soundhole. A couple weeks later, and don't ask me how, John got a seat playing keyboards with Sly. And Sly lived right up the hill in Novato, California. I'm just green with jealousy, trying to, I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together at the time. He said, well, hold on, maybe something's going to happen here. It looks like the horn section needs some help. And I don't know who was in the band at the time, but one day John comes by and he says, come on up, man. Sly wants to meet you. Our mutual ground, I guess you might say, was both Sly and I went to Vallejo Junior College. And we both held David Froelich, the music teacher there, in high regard. The fact that I went to Vallejo JC and went to Froelich at Sly just lit up and said, I got to meet the guy, And I went up and we hung out at his place up there in Novato for about an hour or two and did whatever people did back when you were in your early 20s. And, 3 hours later, we said goodbye, and Sly said, John Colla, you're in the band, man. So, but he was convinced I was the right guy, and that was the beginning of a few years of crash course in what not to do in the music business, I guess.
Yeah.
No, there was a lot of great time. Things were in a bit of a shambles at the time. I think Sly had just released High on You, not more than a year before, maybe. And it didn't do so well, I think. I think he released 2 or 3 singles off it, and his manager at the time had put some pressure on it to get this. It's all about branding. Mm-hmm. And Sly Stone wasn't branding. Sly and the Family Stone was a brand. And so I guess the pressure was on Sly to put a band back together and be Sly and the Family Stone. That's what he set out to do. And I think when John and I came in, he really found something to hang his hat on. I'm not just patting myself on the back, but, musicians were coming and going. He had these 3 guys from Sacramento, called themselves the Chocolate Chips, and they were kind of the rhythm section, bass, drums, and guitar, and I don't know if those guys knew it, but their job was on the line a little bit, and Cynthia was kind of in, but she'd only show up if she was sure rehearsal was going to happen because she had a little baby, and somehow we managed to squeeze it off and get it together and get a record out and go on tour for a year or so. The record probably, Heard You Miss Me While I'm Back. I think I can say with some confidence I might be the only white male that ever sang on a Sly Stone session. So I was pretty honored about that, I think Sly hit the button and said, John Colla, you sing it with him. That's one I like to remember. I think I can say now I understand that the effort was to get the brand back and get Sly back on the charts and back out on the road. And we had a ball on tour. My fondest memories, Sly had this mandate put on him that you got to tour. That's just the way the music business is. The manager at the time laid that down. We went out with the Ohio Players and Bob Womack and Harold Melvin and Blue Notes when Teddy Pendergrass was singing with them, and the Barkays and Rufus, and I just had the time of my life. It was just a blast. We opened for P-Funk for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I get to know the guys in P-Funk and jump on stage at the end of their set for the big finale, and, the fantastic memories. Thanks, Sly.
When you played with Sly, how do you characterize his musical gift?
I'd like to say he's one of the best songwriters and charismatic characters I've ever had the honor of being in their presence. He had something that, there's something you only see, in people like Sam Cooke and Marvin Gaye. There's a magic and a charisma that carries through, and you become charmed. And that was part of the whole thing. I'm sure there was a power struggle early on when Sly's charm started to take over, but he earned it. He was a DJ. He was jumping back and forth, spinning records and trying to start a band. He was doing 3 things at once when he was young, and he earned that. And he was really good at it. He wrote for the Times, and he wrote all the right stuff. He hit a nerve for white folks and black folks, and, that's why we remember those songs to this day.
That's what he said.
My goodness.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. You're making all that music. You're the hit of the party. Everything revolves around the good time. I mean, Sly and the Family Stone is a rolling good time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, prior to you walking in the room for this podcast, we had the pleasure of hanging out with you a couple weeks ago. And we were both profoundly affected by a number of things that you said. That's really why we wanted to have you back and have a microphone in front of you.
Good.
So, we feel like it's important.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Sly, will you tell us about the first time you performed in front of a live audience?
Yeah, it was a church song.
Okay.
It was a church song at Oakland Auditorium. And, what's her name? Brother Joe May and, you ever heard of that? No, not Joe May. Anyway, church groups, blind boys and all those people. And I went and they put me on a table to sing. I sang, and when it was over, and then people, they were happy, and I wasn't ready for that. They started coming at me, running, and getting happy out of here. And I got up and ran in the back. I got off the table and ran.
Your first live performance, you took off running.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, from there to Woodstock, you came a long way in a short amount of time.
I saw Sly and the Family Stone when I was 16 years old at the Spectrum in Philadelphia.
Dr. Robert Greenberg.
So this would have been 1970. The Spectrum in Philly was where the 76ers used to play. It was, the big arena, and it was fantastic. And, of course, I instantly got stoned simply by breathing. We were sitting up in the balcony, and, man, forget it. No one could stay straight.
Smoke rises.
Oh, don't you know it? And it took us about 3 hours to get home that night because we just kept saying, where are we, man?
Wow.
It was a wonderful night.
Yeah.
It was just, it was just fantastic.
How old were you when that happened, that first live performance?
Well, about 9, 10, something like that.
Now, your Wikipedia biography, I don't know who wrote that for you, but it says that you began playing when you were very young. What was your first instrument?
I think it was piano. I think
it was piano.
Drums.
Okay. So what your Wikipedia entry says was that you had mastered your first instrument when you were about 7, and then you became proficient on practically everything else on the stage when you were about 9 or 10.
Well, I would get a gig on whatever instrument. I didn't know what a master was, except I would learn it well enough to get a gig. I
think master is a strong word. To say that somebody has mastered something, it requires a level of proficiency. Knowing this as a musician, your Wikipedia entry was probably written by somebody who's not a musician. So it's easy for them to throw words like that around. But you were good enough to get a gig when you were 7 years old. You were good enough to get a gig on several other instruments when you were 9.
Right.
And so the difference, though, between a seasoned musician and somebody who's 9 years old is you get in front of an audience and they go crazy for you and you take off running.
I wasn't ready for that energy.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you still play today?
Yeah.
What instruments do you grab? Like if you're going to sit down right now and grab something, what do you play?
Well, probably a synthesizer. A lot of little drums with you.
This is songwriter and record producer Preston Glass.
The great thing about Sly Stone, well, he was a big influence on me growing up when I was cutting my teeth as a songwriter. So I think his music taught me how to expand and not feel like I had to be in a box. Melodically, he stretched stuff chord-wise. Lyrically, he could do a message song and make it sound like it's a fun song, Talk about a political situation and make it sound like it's a happy song. Sly Stone's music, to me, crosses all genres, all borders. It's music that was at heart soulful and gospel-y, but at the same time, very pop, very accessible. Yet he was very edgy because of some of the lyrics he tackled. So today, while a lot of people are complaining about the quality of the music out there, you could still see his influence in some of the bands, in rap music, in alternative music, and lyrically, he was very free.
Now, can I tell a story? Because we know that you want to make music all the time, because the way that we met you was we were hanging out with Cori on a Sunday night. It was Sunday night. And you called Cori and you said, Cori, I need a Mac laptop with GarageBand on it. So I got some ideas I got to put down right now. And it was Sunday night. Now, I know you've spent a long time as a rock star, and not a lot of people in your life tell you no. When it comes to, I want to make music, everybody says, well, let's get Sly making music. We want Sly to make music. So that's what we did. We mobilized, and we got you a laptop with GarageBand on it. But it happened on a Sunday night. The other thing I want to say about this story was that we bought this laptop because it had GarageBand on it, and the guy who was selling it said, yeah, I use different applications, and I've updated, and so I'm getting rid of this. And we said, well, do you play music? And he said, yeah, I'm a DJ. And so we said, oh, okay, great. And as we negotiated the price of the laptop, I don't know if you ever heard this, Sly. As we negotiated the price of the laptop, because the guy wanted considerably more than we paid him. But at one point, Cori had just heard he had had enough of the negotiating, and he offered him a price. And he said, listen, take this price. He wasn't asking. He said, I'm telling you, take this price. And, you know, we had built a rapport with the guy. He was a nice guy. Cori said, take this price, and I'm going to tell you who this laptop's going to belong to when you hand it over to me. And the guy sat there for a moment, and he thought, what are you saying? And he looked over at Pete, and Pete just leaned into him and said, you should take the deal. And he looked at me, and I said, you should take the deal. And the guy looked, and we didn't say that in a threatening way, just matter-of-factly, like, you will not be sorry if you take this deal. And so the guy decided, okay, I'll take the deal. And he handed over the laptop to Cori, and Cori said, your laptop now belongs to Sly Stone. And this guy lost his mind. He lost his mind, and he was a young man.
That's right.
He was younger than we are. I mean, I would say the guy was, 30 maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
And he lost his mind because he's a DJ. Yeah. He knows what your impact on music is.
That's good.
He went crazy.
He started physically shaking.
He did. He could not stay still. His hands were shaking. He couldn't believe that his laptop, like he just become a part of a family tree that he was not prepared to become a part of.
That's good. That's good.
And then Cori picked up this part you probably remember. Cori picked up the phone and called you. And said, Sly, will you talk to this individual because he's losing his mind over here? And then you talked to him for like 10 minutes. And we thought, that's nice. That's really nice of Sly, but we're trying to leave. But that's the impact you still leave behind.
That's good.
Yeah. How much do you feel that? Because it seems like you don't leave the house much. You just sit at home and make music.
I'd rather do that.
Yeah. You've soured of the world?
No, just I'd rather play music and just rather play music.
Yeah, all day long.
Yeah.
Dave Agent.
Stand is one of the greatest albums in my life. That album is the pinnacle of Sly and the Family Stone, without a doubt. With Larry Graham's technique and Sly's arrangements, it's literally a masterpiece, rock and roll, R&B, funk, whatever you want to call it. It's just a master. I hang the progress of funk on Sly, without a doubt. If Steve Jobs put a dent in the universe, that dude put a dent in the music world. And it's still there.
I'm going to tell you another story, Sly. A couple years ago, I was sitting at home. Cori called me. You had sent him up to Vallejo to retrieve some items out of a trailer that you had up there. And among them were a couple of guns that you were storing up there. And Cori doesn't know anything about guns, so he called me and said, hey, man, I need some help. I want to make sure I don't shoot myself in the foot. Can you come help me? I said, sure. What do you want to do? he said, I got to get some stuff that belongs to Sly in this trailer over at Trailer City. And so we went over there. We went kind of organized your belongings and went through the stuff, and I made sure that Cori had packed away the guns all neatly so that he didn't shoot himself in the foot. But we went through there and we did an inventory of whatever that we could find that were clothes and what was gear, what was usable, what didn't work anymore, whatever. Some of the stage clothes that he brought them back. So you saw them.
And they were stolen.
What?
Wow.
Oh, I hate hearing that.
Wow. Oh, he brought back some things that we were just going, oh, look at this. And I mean, things that had, things that you wore on stage, things that you wore on Soul Train, things that you wore that made your, some crazy, shiny, crazy shit.
Yeah,
really.
Shiny, crazy, fluffy.
Yeah. A fur coat.
Yeah.
One thing in there was a fur coat. Another thing was a jumpsuit that had sequins all over it. And it said Sly on the back. You were like, oh man, what an awesome life it is when you get to wear this at work.
Is there a time when you met like Elvis and you went, I can't believe I'm talking to Elvis? Is there anybody that really shocked you like that?
Frank Sinatra.
Oh, okay.
So me and Billy Preston were going up to the elevator in Hawaii, and Johnny, Johnny Wiggins was there, and we were going up. He was in there already, and Johnny said, "Hey, what's up?" And I don't know why I did that, son, like an asshole, but I did it. I said, "Hey, what's up?" He said, "What's up?" I said, "Edgar." That's Johnny's guy, but people laughed.
Yeah.
And we got upstairs. There was Frank, and he was in so much awe of me that I felt weird.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He appreciated me more than I knew how to appreciate him. I kept telling him, man, you're Frank Sinatra. Wait a minute. You Sly, but he
And he was saying, never mind that. Let's talk about you.
Yeah, and I got kind of weird.
Huh.
I didn't say, well, you don't understand.
He could have said, well, I'm Frank Sinatra, but I can't get away with wearing a sequin jumpsuit that says Frank on the back of it. Only you can do that.
Hey, who had the better fro, you or Billy Preston? Because yours was awesome. But Billy's, he could move his head and his hair would stay still.
I don't know.
Yeah. Billy's fro was, if he turned too fast, his fro would catch up a second later. He did a move on stage, he'd go pow, and the fro would slide into place.
Hey, whose work stands out to you when you hear their music? You think, man. Here's a story. REM has a lead singer named Michael Stipe, and he was at a U2 concert, and he's like, I wish I would have wrote Beautiful Day. That's my song. I should have wrote that. And he says it with all the love in the world because he loves the band. But he's like, man, I just love that song. Do you have someone like that where you hear what they do and you're just like, oh, man, I wish that I could have wrote that?
Or some song that you hear and you go, if you had waited around too long, I would have ended up writing that for you.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, Ray Charles.
Yeah.
And Beatles.
Mm-hmm. Ray Charles and the Beatles.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good company.
Yeah. Have you ever played with Ray Charles?
Yeah, but not. Yeah, I can. Yeah,
not in a performance setting?
Right.
How was that?
It's crazy, yeah. Ray Charles is just perfect, all of it.
Yeah.
But it just resolves everything every second and goes on.
Wow.
That's some heavy theory right there.
That is heavy.
Yeah.
This is Mick Gillette from the Tower of Power, and I have been a Sly Stone fan since the early days on KSOL radio, and we all used to play Frenchies in Hayward back in the late 60s. And I got to tell you, my favorite rock and roll picture of all time is hanging on my wall at home, and it's got Van Morrison sitting at a big grand piano, and sitting next to him is Bill Wyman, the Rolling Stones bass player, and he's playing an acoustic guitar. And sitting right next to him is Sly Stone playing bass. And right next to him is me playing trombone. And this is just my favorite little quartet I ever played in. Happy birthday to Sly. I hope you remember it.
Do you see your legacy when you look around at artists who are emerging now? And do you see hints of your influence in people?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, for us, it's inescapable. We look at it and we go, oh, yeah.
It's good feeling.
Yeah.
What's an example of that influence that you see?
Their style of doing music and how they act and how they're a lot of guys.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of changed the way that a front man takes the stage. You know.
I didn't know who to copy.
Uh-huh.
So just have to go up and do what you do.
Yeah.
And wind up whatever you do.
This is the most listened to DJ in the universe, DJ Severe.
Wow. In my repertoire, Sly represents, to me, that soul funk with the edge of a little rebellion, but not over the top, taking it to the man, so to speak. Love City's my favorite Sly joint. I just love the beat and a lot of the message in it, but also bringing everyone together at the same time. I love what he represents as far as funk, soul, and pop, and the rhythm. He's definitely what I use a lot in the stadium, just because the horns, the bass line, the strings, and just growing up, just a real deep representation of being proud. And I think the one thing that people do, I think that's just the signature Bay Area sound. And those of us in music just kind of just gravitated into it more just being that way. Like that was pretty much the sound of the Bay, you know. And you see some of the other groups that have come around and kind of have that signature swag. A lot of people don't even know how much music actually comes from the Bay and what it represents, even down to the hip hop. I think it kind of helps separate Northern California from Southern California, but I think he represented it so much, and to me, just basically representative of the Bay and that Bay Area sound.
You know, one thing I love about your especially the early work with the Family Stone Band is, yeah, you were the leader and you sang a lot, but you weren't the only one that sang. That singing tool got passed around to everybody, and I can't think of another band that does that within a song. Like the Eagles might go out and tour, and it'll be Joe Walsh's song or whoever's song. But you're like, hey, I need you to sing here. I need you to sing there.
Every song was everybody's song.
Damn, it's beautiful. You know?
That's good. That's good. well, I got some good singers.
Yeah, you did have some good singers.
One of the things that I think is really important with people like him, like Rosie, these really super hyper duper genius musician people. Mm-hmm. So anyone who is a musician knows that this information, if you're writing music, this stuff doesn't come from your brain or all the hours of studying. I mean, that helps, makes it easier, the process easier, but it comes from somewhere else.
It allows you to be
you're
a channel.
a channel.
Yeah.
If you're a musician, you really are a channel. Yep. This stuff doesn't come from you.
You let your
and
spirit speak.
When you have someone like that, or some,
yeah.
Like Sly Stone, who is that prolific and that genius in his writing, how open is that guy to receiving all this information? He's getting so much information. It must be insane for him to process that that information that's coming to him.
Think in those terms.
I've had one experience where I got a song that came all at once. All the lyrics, the melody, all the instrumentation, all came at once. I couldn't keep up with it. It came so fast. But that guy, Prince, those kind of people, Rose, it must be a constant streaming video in their head.
Music. They see it. They see the whole picture.
Yeah.
When you try to understand Sly, like they write these stories about how he lives and his financial, that is not important to him. He doesn't have time to deal with that. He's got this channel.
And he needs to get it through.
That's his purpose for Sly and for all of us as music. That was what made me decide to, I'm going to have to do it because it's my responsibility. If I'm getting this information, then I got to get over my ego and just
allow it.
Don't give a F and put it out there.
Right.
But I do think that people get musicians get a bad rap, especially as they get older and the money's not there anymore and things start to fade out. Many musicians self-medicate with whatever their choice is to try to deal with the monsters under their beds.
Yes.
Yep.
And we all have them. And we all deal with it as musicians. It's a thing a lot of people don't really talk about it, but it is a fact of being a musician. You do have voices in your head. You do.
Yeah. What must feel good from him though is he doesn't have to hide. Sly doesn't have to hide shit.
And he don't want
to.
to.
Be him 200%. Sly is always him, and he always has been. And no matter how anyone else took it, he was still like, whatever.
And his message is
I'm
so
on stage
powerful
now,
and so positive.
And Sly would feel like I'm going on the side of the stage, have a drink of water. I'll be right back. The song's still going. Whatever.
Yep.
Come back. I'm going to use the restroom. And that's so real. You know what I mean? You keep it real. And they
Unapologetically authentic.
Do you? Can you think of another artist that gave up the lead singing position as much as he did?
Because it was about his message. His message was bigger than his music.
Yeah. You know one person I think of when you say that? I think of Dwayne.
Yes. Yeah, the way they would do songs and stack it, you know what I mean? He'd say one thing and then his sister come in and scream like, "Oh, yeah, now." All that, and Graham come in.
That's right.
It was a family affair.
Yeah. It was.
And Sly made sure it stayed that way too.
Yep.
And you could always look at his performances like he is just sometimes. I mean, I feel that way too. I'm not saying I can feel like Sly, but I can understand when you're saying he just wants to do music. I'm like, what the fuck else would you want to do now?
That's
I mean,
right.
it's like that's all I want to do.
Bring everybody
That's
in.
it. Let the music speak.
That's the most important thing to me is that inclusiveness, and that music really does bring people together.
Yep.
So that everybody feels a part of this. And I think that's really powerful. He's so ahead of his time. Sly Stone was amazing.
Yes. And we still have him. That's dope.
This is Jay Mohr.
Jay, when you are able to go on the road and consume the amount of music that you have consumed as a touring comedian, I get the feeling that anytime that the mic and the light weren't on, you had tunes going. And you weren't just blindly consuming. Yeah, you were taking it in.
Constantly, yeah.
Like a veteran.
I sing all day. I sing standards. I sing to my son.
But specifically Sly Stone, man, what do you think, what difference did he make?
Huge difference in music, because we know the hits, but then when you get deep into these albums, like Family Affair, like, yeah, everybody knows Family Affair that I just sang, but third verse, he's kind of just talking, but he's talking in a way, not talk singing like bad talk singing, you know, when guys are like, and then I went to the store and I just thought, like Red Hot Chili Peppers. But he's like, oh, let's love everybody. Oh, like it's almost like this real sexy, deep drawl, but he's talking about the love of the family stone, and the family affair. Ooh, child, let love. And it's kind of like the minimalism of what, the minimalism, the choice, the placement of the words, the scene. I don't know what the recording process was like, but nothing's wasted and nothing's superfluous.
You know, if you compare it to the really highly produced stuff of the time, let's say, I mean, even though it was elementary when it compares to some of the stuff we're doing now, but if you went for like the Temptations, or, you know, a band like that was really, where the orchestration and the arrangement and stuff was very, very rehearsed, and then you turn the mic on Sly and he's just doing his thing and growling, and that's what's minimalist about it.
I think Sly is produced so much better because he knew when to lay off. And when you mention the Temptations, even like Otis Redding, and it's kind of overproduced. Like everybody like jacks off to Phil Spector and the Wall of Sound. It's like, bro, it's Be My Little Baby. What Wall of Sound?
Yeah.
Like nobody listens to Be My Little Baby and goes, holy shit, listen to that sound. No, when you listen to the James Gang and realize it's only three guys, you go, what the fuck? That's a Wall of Sound,
That's a
man.
wall of
Nirvana.
sound.
That's a Wall of Sound. You know what I mean?
When Mick Gillette blows his horn, that's a wall of sound.
Pete, can we ever have a conversation without... We know, Pete, you're a top. We're bottoms. We got it, buddy.
Hey, man.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I got Cindy Crawford calling me again. I got to go.
All right.
How in shape are you to play live?
Well, when rehearsing is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Get the rehearsing done. And
Right.
then it's no good job.
Okay. So you're not going to present it before it's time.
Well, I don't like to jam too much because it blows my head into compete to my head. It feels like I got to do better than everybody, and that's not what the thing is about.
Still, you still feel that way.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that's a competitive streak that a young musician would feel, but you still have that?
Yeah, I want to just do it better than everything, and that's not a good thing, maybe, but it's rehearsing.
Yeah.
You do it all day, and you got a certain feeling about a song, and you know what it is already, and you get something that means a lot. It's a hidden, something to make you lean over and hit a chord. You have to do that.
Right.
When you're rehearsing, to that extent, that's what you do. And that's what I like to do with a lot of people. The people all get to where that brother was crazy. But but that's the way it is.
You are crazy a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all right, though.
Yeah.
It's been many, many years, I think, that you've cultivated this sense. And you don't, I think, with what you created at a young age and the stuff that you were able to say, here's my stamp on the world. Now what you going to do with it?
That's all I know is what I do.
Yeah. Wow. So tell us some wacky stories about people from throughout time that are remarkable or that you think, or that amused you or whatever. Drop some wisdom on us.
I don't know stories right now. but I'll tell you what.
I heard Miles Davis pulled a gun on you.
He pulled a gun in the
Is that true?
Everybody in the room.
He pulled a gun on everybody in the room.
Yeah, that's what I told him. Pull that shit down, man. I know he's funny. He's got to be telling jokes or something.
That was Miles being funny? He pulled a gun on everybody in the room?
Yeah, he came in with the gun. I said, put that shit down, man. You can't do that. And he put it down.
Okay. You probably had a tone in your voice like, man, I'm from Vallejo. I got a 32 in my pocket.
No,
you better put that down.
But I didn't feel any
animosity.
Yeah. But he had a gun, so and everybody was like, oh, wacky. No, you can't do that, Miles. Don't do that.
At his house, at a party? No. What makes you...
At my at a place, like a little studio at 25 Central Park West. Yeah.
25 Central Park West. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I guess, man, what do you do with that? I mean, that's Miles Davis. And you go, hey, man, you're armed and dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, you live in and lived in a rock star world where people did have different rules and everything. Mm-hmm. Among those guys, who really stands out as being just over the top? You're like, man, I hope Bob doesn't come over because that guy is crazy.
So Charles Manson.
No shit. All right, tell us about that.
No, he needed to get out of there. I didn't even know he was. I didn't know that he was leaving. I didn't know Doris wanted to get out. But she's sort of winding down.
Hold on, wait a minute. You jumped ahead of us here. What? You talking about Charles Manson?
Mm-hmm.
He hung out with a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
So what was going on there?
I just realized that he had to get out of the house because Doris. That's what I felt about Doris Day. She's just a nice lady. That's all.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe you ought to get out. So that's right. So I got in and I started encouraging him to get out.
How do you encourage?
You have a
Charles
way
Manson?
of mildly encouraging people to do something.
Well, if they gotta go.
So you mildly encouraged Charles Manson to exit the premises, and he left.
Yeah, he got out.
And then he became Charles Manson in somebody else's house.
Yeah.
What was he doing there?
Getting people. You could tell he was crazy.
Yeah, and he was trying to pull people into his.
He was doing it. I could see him doing it.
Yeah. Back then, when musical styles were kind of melting together, who do you think was responsible for really mixing styles more than anybody else? Who was the more adventurous of the musicians that you knew around then?
You should think about.
Who did you admire for their sense of creativity?
Kind of hard to say, man. Everybody was in a category.
Yeah.
And they stayed there.
What allowed you to break those categories, though? Because you weren't beholden to the categories. You kind of did what you wanted to do.
Because that's just the way I saw it.
Yeah.
I just know if I got a good record, then it's country and western, then it will be that. I know it will be that.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
And your record company trusted you.
They had to.
You were going to give them what you were going to give them. They could take
Yeah,
it or leave it.
honest to God, yeah. That's
Wow.
what- in rehearsing for that, for the good reasons and everybody's into it, they got to like it.
You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you can.
You think so?
Yeah.
You just think people aren't doing it as much
Right.
as they should be.
Yeah, people just don't have the stupidity or the courage or whatever it takes to say what you got to say and do it with no harm in it.
Yeah.
Like, this is it.
Not everybody has that much to say, Sly.
I believe that.
Not everybody has that much to say. Did you know Levon Helm?
I've heard the name.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you knew him because I love him. I mean, I was a big fan, and he was just seemed to be the same kind of free spirit that you were. And I was curious to know if you guys crossed paths, but it seems like you guys didn't cross paths. Did the band play Woodstock?
Yeah, the band played at Woodstock. I mean,
Okay.
there was
but yeah,
50
several
bands
days
there, yeah.
between you guys probably.
Is there a song that you've written that you thought this is a great song and it's going to be a hit, and it just absolutely is not a hit? Is there a song like that there for you?
Oh, yeah. Underdog. Yeah, it's just a funky song, but I found out what was wrong. I got Dave Caplick, and he told me it's got to be the beat and the words. It's got to be a melody. It's got to premise the song, and that's what it's got to be only. And that's where I took it. So I wrote Dance to the Music.
Okay.
Like it's a formula that's easy to do. Like you just add some sugar and you put in a little bit of
kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah. How many songs do you think you've got in the catalog now that you're waiting to release? Hundreds.
I don't know. I don't even know.
Yeah.
You have a notebook right in front of you.
Yeah, because I was working on a song.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are always, regardless of what else is going on, always working on a song.
Well, I like to be ready, you know.
And you talked about someone just right then who was an influence on how to write songs.
Who was it? Can you say the name again? I didn't catch it.
Dave Caplick,
Dave Caplick.
my first manager.
Okay.
The first and the last.
What happened to him?
He got tired of, he got money and go to Hawaii.
He got money and took off to Hawaii.
Yeah,
That was
he's
it
cool.
for that.
He's cool, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he sort of left you in a position where you are now, where you have to fight over stuff.
You're right. But I believe me, I cannot do it for much longer. I know. You know.
Yeah.
Whatever has to take place, this was going to have to take place. I will pay them to get me off. I don't give me the lawyer off.
Just
I
to
ain't
be
mad
done with
to
it.
nobody. I'm through with it.
Yeah. You're not worried about the money, not worried about anything. You just want to be done with it and go on to writing music.
Man.
Wow. Let's talk about music.
Mm.
What are you feeling now? I mean, when you go, when you go into your notebook, when you're writing music, you've always written songs about happiness and love and a good time, sometimes a woman. What are you writing about nowadays?
What I don't like about court.
Wow.
Man, you're angry.
You're writing about what you don't like about court.
Yep, and managers and all that people.
Yeah.
Mm.
I want to hear Sly's version of No Vaseline, because that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
You know?
I want this stuff to go away.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much of a hindrance this is on your soul.
Man. Believe me, man.
My goodness.
I don't even, the voices of the people that are supposed to represent me.
Yeah.
They make me, just like,
You don't think you're being represented fairly?
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't think they know how. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know.
Right.
But I don't care. They can have whatever they got to get, and I can get what I got to get, and bye.
And be done with it already.
Yeah, because I can't do that stuff. I don't want it like that. I don't like that kind of money.
Yeah. So with regard to, I mean, can we talk about any of this stuff?
Yeah, talk about anything. That's what it's gotten to that.
Okay.
To that.
So what are you fighting over? What's everybody fighting
I
over?
don't know what the fuck they're fighting over now. I don't know. They just bother me.
Everybody wants a piece of Sly Stone.
Yeah. They can have the parts that I know about.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone.
Wow.
Because, there's a limit to what you're going to take. You know that.
Yeah.
And he goes to that limit, and I'm trying to make him understand. And, I don't see anything beyond the people that are involved in my life now.
Mm-hmm.
Or they feel to me as if they are enemies. My lawyers, their lawyer, I'm in with a lawsuit that is so stupid. I wish I could get out of it. I would have. As a matter of fact, I plan to. I've already started in challenging everybody with a lie detector test. I would rather be, I'd better get on the polygraph test and ask me anything.
Right.
Right.
Rather than go on an argument stuff.
Well,
it's craziness.
Yeah, it's a lot of craziness.
Yeah, they don't know me.
And I don't have anything to do with that lawsuit and no business speaking about it, so don't come after me, lawyers. What I will say is that in the short time that I've known Sly, he's a beautiful human being, and he just wants to make music.
Man, that's exactly right. He wants to make music. That's what he said over and over again.
Can we just let the man make music for crying out loud?
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all.
Do you plan to release this music in some form?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Are we going to see you take the stage live with a band at any time soon?
Yeah, I plan that it's going to be heard.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I plan. I'm not just playing to record just to, because,
We want to see you live. Are you going to take Cori?
Yep.
Because we want to see Cori. We don't get enough of Cori.
I know.
He likes the original band too.
So when? What are you planning? We want to know what you're planning, man.
Right now, I'm getting these. What I want to do now is get these people functioning at a lawsuit off me. I'm pissed off at these people, all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm never get like that. I get like that now 24 hours a day. I don't even.
These lawsuits are just looming over you.
I don't like that stuff.
Is there an end in sight? Is there an end in sight with these lawsuits?
No, what they say, but I don't see it. But I know there's an end real soon because I know me. I will be through.
Wow.
Pretty soon, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Wow.
And all the stories, man, and all the lies. That's why I just wish ask me anything in front of all the people.
Right.
I'll tell the truth, man. And whatever happens, good.
Yeah.
And that's the God's truth. When I brought up the just do all of us polygraph test. Everybody, I didn't know that, but they got really weird.
That would thin the herd pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I found that to be true too, Sly. Is that if you challenge somebody and say, let's go do it. You know, I'm big on all right, you're going to say this is true. I'm going to say that's true. Let's go do it. Let's see what happens. Maybe not be a lie detector test, but it's going to be work. Let's go do work, you know, and let's see what comes out. Because the bottom line is your job isn't to be in court. Your job is to be in front of a mixing board and a keyboard. That's, damn it, that's where we want
and
you.
put
you know?
love in the world.
Man, but that person is not love in the world.